back with another episode of I Hate Insurance. Welcome back. Say goodbye to fake coverage full of exclusions, gaps, and fine print. We're exposing the old school insurance world, showing you what a real partnership looks like. Today, we're going to learn a lot about waivers. Are they really worth it? Does your insurance company really have your back? Do you have the right wording in your waiver? Listen to today's episode to find out. Are waivers really worth the paper they're written on?
Yes, they are. I would say it's like having video, when we insure bars or skating rinks. When they sue you, they have a story. Right? It's like, oh, they overserved me, or there was a wet spot on the floor I slipped on. And when you have a video that shows that's not accurate, the case is much easier. So release forms are basically used to prove that they assume the risk and you explained it to them. And, if you have unsafe equipment and they're injured, a release form is not going to help you. You're at fault. You should just pay. And reporting claims early is one of the, things that hurts us continually for 40 years is insureds are afraid to report their claims. And late reporting the claims means time passes, evidence goes away. So, early reporting, that's at the root of the partnership. And everybody knows that their insurance isn't a partner. Yeah. If they use it, they're going to lose it.
And that's why they don't report things, because they're scared.
Yeah, and it feeds the legal problem. So, a release form is just a tool, and that's what we're trying to do with partnership is have the tools that give us the ability to use the legal system to our advantage. It's going to cost us a lot of money, but in the long run, it saves us a lot of money, which is what Sains versus Whitewater Voyages did. From that point on, people believed release forms were good. And the truth is they can be if you do everything right. If you're wrong, then it's not. But, a bigger tool, tort reform is big in Florida. They've passed all these new laws to, shut down the plaintiffs' lawyers suing homeowners insurance companies. And the plaintiffs' lawyers have just moved to Plan B. Now insureds are liable for the defense costs. It makes our legal system a loser-pay system. So those are the things we've been trying to do with roofers, and any business that has a contract with a client can make our legal system a loser-pay system. We don't have to do tort reform. We don't have to change the laws. So, you have to put them at risk. And risk management techniques that most insurance companies and agents have evolved over time is they add an exclusion. Or if you have a bar, you make them hire outside security, and you make the security guards have coverage. So, that's a technique of throwing it elsewhere. Right? We're not going to cover you for assault and battery or sexual abuse and molestation, but that really doesn't help the insured.
They still have to deal with it.
Yeah, they have to go buy a separate policy.
I mean, the reason they exclude things is because they don't want to defend you.
Yeah, they really don't want to insure
you. The policy has to defend and indemnify, right? It has to indemnify them if it's covered.
Insurance policies do two things. They indemnify you in the event of a loss.
So they basically pay for defense.
If it's covered, defense is the first part, indemnity is the second part. Well, an insurance contract is just a contract. And if you say, I'm writing, your property, but I'm not writing your liability, or I'm writing your property and I'm not writing your flood, you're trying to get out of it. So, either you have a clear exclusion and you just deny it, or you defend under a reservation of rights. And then once the court agrees that, hey, there's no coverage for sexual abuse and molestation or armed guards, then you get a withdrawal from the case and the insured has to take it over. Same with a homeowner that doesn't have flood. The homeowner has to deal with the claim anyway. So the old technique of trying to do half the job and be tricky, lawyers use that to their advantage. So to me, my hashtag bench the lawyers, you bench the lawyers by doing the whole job. You don't make them have more policies and more lawyers. You give them more coverage. You have one lawyer and you deal with it, because that's what the insured would have to do. So if an insured started their own insurance company or their own bucket of money and they're going to pay claims, they're not going to exclude anything because they have to deal with it anyway. So, the Saines case was instrumental in proving that release forms can be useful in the right cases, but the facts drive it. Remington Firearms is the example at the other end of the scale where, it couldn't have been a bigger nightmare, and it not only hurt Remington. I mean, I've been doing this 40 years and I've never had a case where you settle it and you go bankrupt anyway. That's their threat, is if you don't pay us, if you don't settle us, we're going to take you into bankruptcy. So when you settle something, that should be the end of it. So, that is the worst handling of a claim ever. And it didn't only hurt Remington, it hurt the whole firearms industry. So these strategies of the people in an industry that are under attack by lawyers, everything that somebody else does is going to affect you and the industry going forward. Like the release form in the Saines case, like settling as Remington and going broke anyway. Now that encourages the lawyers to come after. And, the case in New Orleans where the guy used the Ford truck to run people over. So are the plaintiffs going to sue Ford Motor Credit or Ford Motor because it was their car that was used? No. If they did, Ford would fight it, and they would see that if we settled this, we're opening the door to more litigation. And that's what having a partnership and a strategy is all about. If you just buy policies and, the red flag is if you have to buy more than one policy to cover you, that shows that the guy wants to take the sweet part, but leave you with the turd. That doesn't help you.
So what's the difference between gross negligence and negligence?
Well, ordinary negligence is where, you're responsible, but it's an accident. You didn't create a unsafe condition by being unsafe. Like, gross negligence would be on a motocross track, having a water truck out on the track when, they're practicing. Right. Or on a zip line where, you don't do the inspections, you don't replace your cable. In the parasail industry, they only take so many people up and then they retire the rope.
Yeah.
Well, if they prove you didn't retire the rope and it breaks and people are injured, that's gross negligence.
Or you were out in the wrong seas, or they have so many standards. So gross negligence is pretty gross. Much you have to just go. It's not like you can defend, and a waiver is not going to help you in a gross negligence case.
Under regular negligence, you can argue that you didn't do gross stuff that put these people at risk. You're still liable, right? If you're negligent, and that's any lawsuit, the first thing you talk about is who's at fault, right? Then once you get fault, 50-50, then you do damages. Right. And if the damages are $1 million, you're 50% at fault, you get 50% of the award. There's, every state's a little bit different on that. If somebody's 51% at fault, you don't have to pay anything. But that's a state by state thing, which, our legal department and all our lawyers that we use, we just had this lawyers summit here in Salt Lake with about 60 lawyers from around the country. Plaintiffs' lawyers have been doing that for 50 years, where they train each other what works and what doesn't work, and when to hire experts and all kinds of stuff. So from what I know, we're the first. I mean, the trucking industry defense association has had lawyer meetings that these lawyers say they're experts in defending trucks, and it's a big group. It's like anything else. Some of them are really, really good. Some of them are okay. Some of them, take a standard approach to it.
So do you believe traditional insurance companies are going to take a case to bat for an insured if they have facts on their side?
No. I mean, 98% of all cases are settled based on the injury. So like the case we won in Florida where sadly the kid lost his leg in a truck accident, we had to fight hard and we had to keep our partner comfortable because they wanted to settle at the last minute after we'd spent $300,000. They wanted to just pay the $1 million. And again, my tact is, look, if we're just going to pay the $1 million, just pay the $1 million, and you'll save the $300,000
from the very beginning.
So I can save money on every claim through partnership. When you're at fault, you just pay. Like the motocross track, the lawyer that said he got a $40 million judgment. Well, what he got was the land because there's no money to get.
So that was a gross negligence case.
Well, I would say that was negligence. It was an accident. He didn't go out there regularly and knock trees over and try and hit people. That would be gross negligence. And I don't know the guy. We only know what we know about that case.
It's not like he's setting up booby traps.
Yeah, I'm sure he felt terrible. He killed somebody. Same with truck drivers and everybody that's involved in an accident. It's not like they don't care. They do care. And, at tough times, you need people who stand with you and fight for you, even when you are wrong. And so again, in that case, I told the lawyer, I would have just paid you, right? Because it was a sad accident. The mistake was that this guy didn't buy insurance. He tried to hide behind the corporate veil. The lawyer was able to get through the corporate veil and take his land. So the case is really a $500,000 case or whatever he can sell the land for. It's not a $40 million case. But, all of this is fake news. They want to scare the crap out of you like the bully on the playground. And just like the playground, you had friends that would stay and fight with you. And then you had other friends who, weren't really your friend. When the chips were down, they ran for the hills. And that's what's going on with insurance ever since I entered the market. First with recreation, now it's homeowners. And the lawyers, they're doing their job. They're representing their client vigorously, and the insurance industry is trying to avoid it and cover the sweet part and have you go buy a separate policy, which again helps the lawyers. Anytime your plan is more than one policy and more lawyers, you got a wrong strategy.
So anyone that's listening still, let us know your thoughts in the comments. What do you guys think?
Did you say anyone that's listening still because it's boring?
No, I'm just saying maybe some people dropped off. Maybe they had stuff to do and they're going to listen later. They'll be listening, I'm sure. They'll listen to the whole thing. But let us know in the comments what you guys think. Are waivers worth the paper they're written on? Let us know what your thoughts are.
So we have been riding a lot of motocross tracks recently, and a lot of security guards, a lot of people who are in the lawyer's target range, and the insurance company's appetite is shrinking. So our partnership strategy, the fact that we're A-rated, we can include sexual assault, molestation, all of the things that...
and it's defense. We don't indemnify if you actually did it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, again, if it's a crime, you don't cover it. But while you're defending a case, if you don't know whether they actually, did what they're accused of.
It's America. You're innocent until proven guilty.
Right. But you could still settle it for like $50,000 or $25,000. There is, if they're asking for $5 million and, we tell them, look, we don't know whether this happened or not. And they come at us with a number that's acceptable. You do want to settle cases. You just don't want to settle them for their number. Or end up like Remington, where you overpay a frivolous claim and then you go
set
bankrupt.
A bad precedent.
Right.
So let's talk about the Saints versus Whitewater. We mentioned it before on this episode and other ones. Why is this case so important?
Because it shows you can win, just like the kid who sadly lost his leg, where it was his fault. We went to court and won. Right? It shows you can win. And in that case, it also shows that release forms can be good and upheld and can be a total bar to the lawsuit. But if you don't have it, you're arguing assumption of the risk.
And this is where our partnership still came in to play even then, because this attorney didn't want to fight. Just like the case with the kid.
Every case I've ever won, I've never met a lawyer that wanted to fight a case. Right? They've made all their money. They made the $300,000. They don't want to go to court. They're risk adverse. That's that lawyers are all about.
They want to go to
settling.
the beach,
right?
And have margaritas.
Yeah, they want to get a big settlement, they're just like insurance agents and brokers. They want to write a big policy and go to the beach and retire at some point.
So
I don't want to retire.
He's working, man. He's a working man. So what's the critical wording we believe must be in waivers that you say 99% of attorneys would tell you not to put in their waivers that you kind of mentioned at the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, and that's just not waivers. It's any contract that our insured use with their client, and it makes our legal system a loser pay system. It basically says that if you lose this, you're indemnifying us and you're going to pay our legal bills. So that's the difference. In the UK, if you sue somebody and you lose, you pay their legal bill. So people don't sue. Here, the lawyers promote the fact that we don't charge you anything unless we collect. That's a little bit disingenuous because they're billing you the whole time they're bringing the lawsuit, and then they get a percentage of it. So there is a cost.
So they're not
you.
only getting a percentage, but they're also billing you the whole time.
Yeah, they're getting their hourly rate plus a percentage. So most plaintiffs are surprised that they don't get what they think because it's never really explained to them the way that it should be. That's why, as an insurance company, when we're at fault or we're liable or we can settle a claim, like, avalanche death case, we settled for $30,000. You could say, you shouldn't have paid anything on that. And it's like, no, we're basically making sure they don't have a hardship. And for 30 grand, our helicopter ski guide keeps clients and a good reputation, and we bench the lawyers because whether it's Florida homeowners or litigation related to accidents, the lawyers win. It's like a bad divorce. I know I say that a lot. We don't want, if you owe somebody money, pay them. If they're, if somebody died and they have some out-of-pocket expenses and we can make it good for everybody and move on and not pay lawyers anything, do the right thing, right? Take care of your customers. When an accident happens, reach out to them. That's all they want. That's why most people sue, is because they never hear from anybody. They're like, what the hell? I paid for a funeral. I paid all of these costs, and the trucker never even called me after the accident, right? But again, reporting early. Why don't you report your claims, right? Homeowners, everybody, I ask them that all the time, and they say, well, it'll affect me in the future. And I'm like, so you got a shitty partner.
Yeah.
Right? A good partner would charge you the right rate to where when you have a claim, that's included in your price.
Yeah. So any listeners out there, do you report your claims? Do you have a partner that you can report your claims to? Are you with us? Are you insured with us?
Very few people. Actually, even our own insureds don't report.
They don't even report them. We tell them this all the time. We preach them.
We get late reported claims all the time, and I just tell them, look, you've increased
we
the
had
cost.
A trucking death claim that was reported a year late.
We have them every
How do you,
week.
What? We just want it reported with, immediate, it's...
When something happens, you should know that we got your back and you can report it. I always say it's like going out and hiring a lawyer on retainer and then being afraid to call him. Nobody would do that. When you hire a lawyer on retainer, it's so you can call him anytime. And insurance is, similar to that in the fact that you're paying a premium for a service, but you're afraid to call them.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you did last week. Tell us a little bit. It's not really related to waivers, but where'd you go tour last week? Can you talk about it? Or is it you write an NDA, you sign an NDA, you can't talk about it?
At the Miami Heat?
Yeah.
So we're writing a lot more property, and all of these big buildings have huge deductibles. So they're paying a premium. But they have
how much is the premium? You can't say. Did you ask them?
I don't even actually
know
their
yet.
But it's millions of dollars.
Their deductible is $30 million
or more. And so they would pay the first 30 million,
Of
which
anything.
again, that's probably where their claim is. They call that the working layer.
So you're paying your premium. So really,
you're paying your own
you
claim.
have to add it together. That's your real premium if you had a claim.
Deductibles are evil, right? The lawyers know how to leverage the deductible and how everybody thinks of that. So my recommendation is to the whole insurance industry, and we're doing it where we can, is we share risk. So no more $30 million deductible or whatever yours is. If there's a claim, I'll pay 90%, you pay 10, or 50-50, or 25-75. So that if you have a $100,000 claim, you don't pay the whole thing. You would pay 25% and we would pay 75%. So anything that happens, you report it immediately and we pay a percentage. And, that's better for the insured. We're going to be paying claims that no other insurance company does. But the benefit of that is you're not feeding the lawyers. You're not leaving your insured to deal with their own claim and hoping it works out. We should be involved in every claim. It shouldn't be like, it's under my deductible, I didn't report it. And that's what most people say when they don't report their claims is it's like, well, I wasn't liable, so I thought it would be under my deductible.
Yeah. Well, and that was kind of a toss-up today. I had an episode ready for risk sharing, so we decided on the waiver one today. So next one, we'll talk about risk sharing more in depth and talk about how we're
actively looking for podcast people. If you want to call bullshit on me or, say that's not true or, this is better. If you're an insurance agent or broker or another insurance company, let's actually have a debate.
Yeah.
And see,
let us know in the comments, or we got to get an entry form put together for people that want to come out here. You can sit here, you can drill them with some questions.
I know you hate insurance.
All those listeners out there that just want to ask RJ those tough questions. Yeah. We'll have you on. You don't even have to run them by him before you ask.
No, I don't need a script.
No,
he's a simple man. Blindly. I'm a simple man, and it's all common sense. I just have a lot of experience, fortunately or unfortunately. But anyway, we're here. It's all about partnerships, not a policy. You can buy policies all day long. Go shop for the cheapest price, like they advertise on TV. Every auto insurer is going to save you about $700.
Find us on the next one. Until then, see us in the skies on Chopper Chat.
And Chopper Chat's coming back. We got both the choppers back. We're getting ready for the boat races. And
he's kind of doing it alone lately because I got a kid now I got to be with. So he's going to Florida. You'll see him Chopper Chatting on his phone.
Hopefully
last week he was in Florida. He's right next to Air Force One and doesn't even show anyone it. Just takes off, pans by. Oh, there's Air Force One for 1 second. What?
It was hard getting out of there.
He was distracted.
Like a plane. I had to fly 4,000 feet above the ground, which I don't think I've ever done before.
He's not used to actually taxiing and then going on the runway and actually taking off like a real plane. He's used to just getting out of there, not going 4,000 feet in there.
I had to file a flight plan and have a
We didn't get to see the Trump. We didn't get to see Air Force One.
We'll do it again sometime.
Maybe next time.
Okay, wrap her up there.
Okay, we'll see you on the next one. See you guys. Thanks.
Bye-bye.